Okay, people. So, dances with films. Man, yeah, this is the first of our coverage. It might be not be the first that goes out, but thanks to the great Henry Eshelman, we were able to look at Step Back, Doors Closing. This is from Carter Ward, who wrote and directed the piece, right? Uh, it is also produced by Carter Ward, Jane Holland, and Catherine Crabtree. It's executive produced by C. Murray Devine, um, and associate produced by Jack Devine, Joanna Devine, Rita W. Devine. I mean, the Devines got involved, right? Matthew Glasner, John K. Hollingsworth, Tom E. Kelly III, Jack McCacken, Kathleen McCacken, Jill Pastella, and Joe Pastella, and John Carter Ward Jr. Paloma Estevez handled the music. Jimmy Ferguson was on cinematography. Jordan Antel edits the piece, while Matthew Glasner also took care of the casting. Production design, we have Laura Santoyo Dangond and Sophia Wong. Art direction is Garrison Clough and Daniel Flores. Costume design, Taylor Gray Burke and Phoenix Steele. Hair and makeup, we have Alexandra Bayliss, Taylor Gray Burke again, and Phoenix Steele again. Our cast. Well, Julisa is played by Carmen Berkeley, and Ryan played by Reilly Walters. Julisa's best friend, Sierra, was played by Michelle Macedo. A good friend of Ryan's, Kesang, is played by Ashley Romans. Oh, yeah. Sierra's hookup, right? The Philly from New York is played by Janae Palmer Cruz. Right, their cab driver Muhammad was played by Mashad Tarabi. Their waiter at the diner restaurant was played by Al Soto. The passenger, the annoying passenger at the start, played by Stephen C. Fisher. Kristen, played by Jerry Courtney-Austein. The concierge, right? The posh concierge, played by Barney Fitzpatrick. Homeless man, played by Emmanuel Tay. The other front desk clerk, played by Cassie Anderson. Ryan's friend, who we hear on the phone, played by voiced by Frank Hobbs. Right? Yeah, they're our main people, I would say. Now, the gist of the film, right? It's a love story, a charming love story between two young adults who long for authentic and emotionally intelligent relationships while navigating the impending realities of full-fledged adulthood. Ryan is witty, down to earth, and newly single for the first time in 4 years. He's excited for a night on the town, but when his old friend bails on him at the last minute, he gets on the DC Metro with the intention of going home. Julisa is open-minded with lots of self-imposed pressure and is considering dropping out of grad school. After flying from Los Angeles to DC, She messages to break. Wait, she manages to break both her phone and tablet. Unable to contact her friend, she gets on the DC Metro, unsure where to go next. Over the following 24 hours, Ryan and Julisa bond by discussing their hopes, dreams, and fears. Their courtship is universal in that they present their best, most curated selves first. But as they spend more time together, they encounter obstacles that chip away at that amour. Slowly but surely, they reveal more and more about themselves and fall in love, supposedly. Right? Now, this is actually um Carter Ward's directorial debut, right? And he had this to say about it. This is a story about being 24, learning to smell the roses and falling in love. When I first began outlining Step Back Doors Closing, I would write the above sentence on every page. I wanted to remember why I was writing this story and why it was important in our increasingly complicated world. I believe that it's both necessary and therapeutic to slow down and reflect on the positive aspects of the human condition through art. In much the same way that Ryan and Jaleesa learn to step back and smell the roses, it's my hope that audiences can find respite from their problems for 90 minutes by watching this film. Of course, I knew this would only be possible if we cast two leads with genuine chemistry. Thankfully, we found Carmen Berkeley and Reilly Walters, two up and coming actors who captured the magic and spontaneity of falling in love in your early 20s. They're not only great actors, but genuinely great people. And I look forward to watching their careers blossom in the years to come. This film is also my love letter to Washington, D.C. Having grown up outside the city, I wanted to create art that was respectful to its geography, culture, and people in order to counter its near constant portrayal as the home of politics, corruption, and scandal. I think we were successful, and I can't wait for you to see it. So yeah, that is what Carter had to say. And there is definitely chemistry, right, with our leads. Yeah, I think that really does jump off the page, and it's nice, right? It's really, yeah, nice. Jaleesa and Ryan, there's this nice thing. Now, the film does open in a way, right? It does open in a way which you know, I don't think necessarily works these days, right? And I'm talking with Jaleesa, the way Jaleesa breaks her phone, just because. And I've said this before. I forget what there was something else. There was a rom-com a few weeks back where a similar thing happens. But you can take phones in swimming pools now, right? Dropping your phone in water, you're not breaking the phone. You're not breaking the phone, right? So I think we need to find a new device. But that said and done, there is a charm about this film. There really is. It's got those vibes of films like Right Before Sunrise, things like In Search of a Midnight Kiss, right? These films that are about like people taking that deep dive into the human condition. That I love those films, right? I think Sidewalks of Manhattan, I believe that's another one. You know, those films. I love those films, right? Um, Now it doesn't quite get there. But there was a film, I think it's The Boy Downstairs, covered it. want to say in the 2019 London Film Festival. I think it was that year, or it might have been 2018. Who knows? Things become a blur at times, right? But it's definitely, very familiar with that, I would say. And it's this interesting thing, right? We got these two people, and we're seeing how they're getting to know each other, right? And I would say that the conversations had are they feel pretty real. They feel pretty real. The only one time where I thought it felt a little bit forced and it was just one aspect of the conversation when they're in the restaurant, right? And the waiter, they ask him about love. His response, of all the other interaction with him was absolutely fine. The response just felt a little bit forced. Other than that, though, you know what I mean? This was good. I could have done without what happens when they get back to see heirs. But other than that, it was interesting, right? And then you have them dealing with the fact that they don't live in the same place, right? So what happens there? And it's funny because you see people, when an outcome is kind of fixed, then you try to kind of fit that outcome, right? And you see where everything is great, some kind of chips coming, right? You notice that, right? That little bit. But also it's kind of like we do have them, you know what I mean, playing off things that were said earlier, right? When Ryan's like, "Oh, I just feel about caring for people. That's what I want to do." But then it's just like, "Oh, are you just saying that? Do your actions mirror up to that thing?" Right? So it is it's an interesting thing. There's like, I think there's things that Carter could have explored a little bit more, right? But this is a very solid film debut, right? For this to be his feature directorial debut, this is great, right? This is great. You know what I mean? Did some really good work. And I think yeah, it's a great platform to then, you know what I mean, do your thing from, right? It'd be interesting to see what comes next from Carter, right? I'm definitely looking forward to seeing, to watching, watching this cast, right? We had some very good performances. Do you know what I mean? Very good performances. So I do believe if you enjoy that kind of slice of life film, right? If you enjoy the pieces where people are exploring love and who they are, right? What they actually want from the world, this one will be for you, right? Step back doors closing, which is a reference to the announcement that gets made on trains, right? When they're on the metro, doors are just about to shut. Boom, step back doors closing, right? Which is kind of like that thing with life sometimes, right? It's just like, yo, you know what I mean? What are we trying to do here, right? Get out the door, right? Are you getting on? You getting off, right? What are we doing, right? So yeah, it's interesting, man, and it's having its world premiere on the 27th of June. That's Thursday, people, at 7:15, right? 7:15 at the TCL Chinese Theatre. Right. So yeah, if you're at the festival, you're around on the 27th, they can definitely recommend you checking this one out. I don't know what the ticket situation is, people. but it's always worth a look, right? It's always worth a look. But if you don't get to see it, just remember this title, right? Remember, and yeah, because it will probably crop up at another festival or when it's actually birthed onto the world itself. So yes, step back, doors closing, doors closing, definitely one to watch.